This was a time of my life a long time ago, and we accomplished amazing things. And I'm so proud of that. And I'm so happy I have a chance to be here tonight to celebrate that achievement.
That was really exciting to me. This is how I was going to meet people. It was a language I could speak because I was kind of shy. They loved this stuff. They recognized it, you know, for what it was. It was this beautiful thing that another person could create. That's why I got up on a stage in a rock and roll band in the first place. So it had nothing to do with money. It had to do with meeting girls. I think if you go back and you ask, you know, the Beatles, they'll tell you the same thing. It was the best reason for getting up on a stage and making a fool out of yourself in the first place. You know, you could meet girls, and they're looking at you, and they want to meet you. This is fantastic.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Famous and Fearless channel. After 43 years of complete silence, Billy Joel's first wife just broke her stunning silence about their explosive marriage. And the timing couldn't be more dramatic, just as the Piano Man faces his most terrifying health battle yet. What she revealed will completely change how you see one of music's biggest legends forever. Elizabeth Weber finally stepped out of the shadows in 2025, attending the premiere of Billy's documentary after decades of refusing to speak publicly about their relationship. But this isn't just any ordinary love story comeback. This is about the woman who nearly destroyed Billy Joel, drove him to attempt ending his life twice, and then vanished without a trace, taking millions with her. The story starts in the late 1960s, when Billy was just another struggling musician trying to make it big. He was in a heavy metal band called Attila with his best friend John Small, and everything seemed perfect. They were brothers, partners, and had big dreams together. But then Billy moved in with John and his wife Elizabeth, and everything went to pieces in the most spectacular way possible. Elizabeth wasn't like other women Billy had known. She was intelligent, seductive, and had this European sophistication that completely captivated him. What started as innocent conversations slowly became something much more dangerous. Billy found himself falling for his best friend's wife, and she was falling right back. The tension in that house must have been absolutely suffocating. When John finally discovered the affair, the explosion was nuclear. Billy came clean about being in love with Elizabeth, and John punched him square in the nose. The friendship was over, the band was destroyed, and Elizabeth just disappeared. She packed up and left both men behind, leaving Billy completely devastated and John's life in ruins. But this was just the beginning of Billy's nightmare. With Elizabeth gone and his friendship destroyed, Billy spiraled into the darkest period of his life. He was homeless, sleeping in laundromats, drinking heavily, and felt completely psychotic. The guilt of destroying his best friend's family was eating him alive. In his desperation, Billy attempted to end his life not once, but twice. The first time, he took a massive overdose of sleeping pills and fell into a coma. When that didn't work, he tried again. John Small actually saved Billy's life during this period. Despite everything that had happened between them, Billy ended up checking himself into an observation ward, feeling like a lost soul with nowhere to turn. But something shifted during those dark weeks. He realized he could channel all that pain, guilt, and heartbreak into his music. That decision to transform his suffering into songs would eventually make him a legend, but the woman who caused it all wasn't done with him yet. Years later, Elizabeth returned, and Billy was still completely obsessed with her. In 1973, they got married, and she immediately took over his career as his manager. But Elizabeth had very different ideas about how Billy's success should benefit her personally. When Billy wrote "Just the Way You Are" for her birthday, instead of being romantic, Elizabeth's response was ice cold. "Do I get the publishing too?" She wasn't joking. Elizabeth was already entitled to half his wealth as his wife, plus her cut for managing him, but she wanted even more. Elizabeth's brother Frank Weber also got involved in Billy's finances, and this family had their claws deep in every aspect of his money. Elizabeth was known as a ruthless negotiator who many people found unfeminine and intimidating. She inspired Billy's song "She's Always a Woman" with lyrics about someone who can ruin your faith with her casual lies and only reveals what she wants you to see. The song was both a love letter and a warning about the dangerous woman controlling his life. As Billy's fame exploded in the late 1970s and early 1980s, the pressure became unbearable. He was constantly touring, working non-stop, and struggling with substance abuse. Elizabeth later admitted that being in the public eye was the complete opposite of what she wanted. She watched Billy working himself to death and felt powerless to stop it. The marriage was crumbling under the weight of his addiction and ambition. Everything came to a devastating climax in 1982 when Billy had a near-fatal motorcycle accident while intoxicated. He was rushed to the hospital requiring surgery on both hands and should have died in that crash. While Billy was lying in his hospital bed, broken and vulnerable, Elizabeth made her move. She told him she would hire private nurses for when he came home. When Billy asked if she would be there, Elizabeth delivered the crushing blow. "I'm not going back with you. I live in the city." She placed the key to their house on his hospital tray and walked out of his life forever. Billy looked at that key knowing his muse was gone, and she would never be there to hear his music again. It was one of the most brutal breakups in music history, a woman abandoning her husband while he was hospitalized and fighting for his life. But Billy Joel wasn't done with love, even after that devastating betrayal. In 1983, he met supermodel Christie Brinkley in St. Bart's, and their romance became one of the most photographed relationships of the 1980s. They married in 1985 and had daughter Alexa Ray, and for a while, it seemed like Billy had found his fairy tale ending with one of the world's most beautiful women. However, Christie recently revealed the shocking truth about why their marriage failed in her 2025 memoir. It wasn't infidelity or incompatibility, it was Billy's drinking. Christie described alcohol as the other woman in their marriage, saying Billy seemed to prefer being with booze rather than her. She remembered the trauma of him disappearing from their daughter's 5th birthday party and not returning for 2 days, leaving her with visions of his car wrapped around a tree. The drinking made Billy act delusional, and Christie realized she couldn't stand by and watch him destroy himself. Even though she loved him, she had to walk away to protect herself and their daughter. Their divorce in 1994 marked the end of another chapter, but Christie and Billy remained close friends and co-parents. Still believing he could find lasting love, Billy married again in 2004 to chef Katie Lee, who was 32 years younger than him. Katie was only 23 when they met at a rooftop bar, and Billy was instantly smitten. Their age gap became tabloid fodder, but both insisted it worked because Billy's rock star lifestyle kept him young, while Katie was mature for her age. The marriage seemed solid for several years, with Christie Brinkley even attending their wedding and giving her blessing. But reports soon surfaced of Katie getting cozy with fashion designer Yigal Azruel in Miami, with witnesses saying she introduced him as her boyfriend. The age difference that they claimed was an advantage apparently became the poison that destroyed their relationship. Friends said Katie preferred spending time with younger people and the city lifestyle, while Billy wanted to stay home on Long Island with his boats and motorcycles. After Elizabeth walked out of Billy's life in 1982, she basically vanished from the face of the earth. She maintained complete silence about their relationship for over 4 decades, refusing all interviews and staying completely out of the public eye. But her family wasn't done causing Billy problems. Elizabeth's brother, Frank Weber, who had been managing Billy's finances, was secretly stealing tens of millions of dollars from him. When Billy discovered the theft in 1989, he sued Frank for $30 million in damages and $60 million in punitive damages. But Frank filed for bankruptcy, and Billy only recovered about $3 million. Billy later said he had hooked up with the Borgias, referring to the notoriously corrupt Renaissance family, when describing Elizabeth's relatives who had infiltrated his financial life. Elizabeth's 43-year silence finally ended in 2025 when she attended the premiere of Billy's HBO documentary. At 82 years old, she looked elegant and composed as she spoke about their marriage for the first time. It was great then. It's great whenever I think about it, and it's great now. Her granddaughters had convinced her to participate in the documentary, and she felt the time was finally right to tell her side of the story. But Elizabeth's emergence came at the exact moment when Billy Joel faced his most serious health crisis ever. In May 2025, the 76-year-old legend was forced to cancel his entire tour after being diagnosed with normal pressure hydrocephalus, a brain condition that causes fluid buildup in the skull. The condition has affected his hearing, vision, and balance, making it impossible for him to perform. Billy had already suffered a scary fall on stage in February 2025, falling flat on his back after throwing his microphone stand to a crew member. Quickly got up and finished the show, but many now wonder if his brain condition was already affecting him. The diagnosis means Billy is facing an uncertain future, with doctors saying the condition is treatable, but requires surgery to implant a shunt that drains excess fluid from his brain. Sources close to Billy insist he's not ready to retire and hopes to return to performing as his recovery progresses. Music has always been his life, and at 76, he's determined to keep sharing his gift with fans. But the timing of Elizabeth's return to the spotlight, just as Billy faces his biggest health battle, feels like the final chapter in their complicated story. Elizabeth Weber spent 43 years hiding from the world after walking away from Billy Joel at his lowest moment. She controlled his career, inspired his greatest songs, drove him to the edge of sanity, and then disappeared with millions. Her recent emergence coinciding with Billy's health crisis proves that some stories never truly end. They just wait decades for the right moment to reveal their final secrets. Billy Joel survived Elizabeth Weber's betrayal, Christie Brinkley's departure, Katie Lee's alleged infidelity, and countless other challenges throughout his legendary career. Now, as he faces his most serious health battle yet, the Piano Man is fighting to return to the stage one more time. Whether Elizabeth's decision to finally break her silence brings closure or opens old wounds, one thing is certain: Billy Joel's love life has been just as dramatic and unforgettable as his music.